Hello there! So, this is my first feature video and the last RTT of 10th edition, so I thought it'd be nice to go hand in hand. I've managed to finish painting all my models, the road to the RTT is complete, all the shorts are done, and now it's just time to get everything packed in the car, off we go. The venue's at Battleground Gaming in Birmingham, really nice venue, really lovely guys, looking forward to playing there and seeing everybody there, so really nice bunch going. I'm running Tyranids, as you might have guessed, with the Vanguard Onslaught list, which is a lot of fun. I'll go through the list in a second. But yeah, should be a great day. Hold up. Before we go to the event itself, I just want to run through a couple of things. So first off, 10th edition's been a bit of a revelation for me. After over a decade away from the hobby, I sort of pulled back in by the temptation of Leviathan, and I've been enjoying it ever since. So it's been really fun, and this final tournament of 10th edition for me is just a bit of a landmark event, so something a bit special, and I thought it'd be a nice way to sort of launch the channel and say a fond sort of farewell to 10th edition. Before we go into it, I just want to take the time to probably sort of run you through the list. So you've seen glimpses of it in action, but now it's time to kind of actually go through and what it is, how it works, and why I run it the way that I do. Because it's really fun. It's not necessarily meta, it's a bit off meta, but it's still really effective. It's just one of these kind of like surgical tools where, yeah, it's a bit of a yeet list, but you've got to use it with care and consideration. Otherwise, it just falls apart straight away. So the first thing is the army rule. It's obviously still Shadows in the Warp. Once per game in your opponent's command phase or your own, but it would be the opponent's generally. You force a battle shot test on everything in the on the board. Very handy, very effective, can swing a game completely, but if you don't lean into it, which I'll come on to a second, it can be very swingy. It can still swingy, as all things are with dice games, but can be a bit iffy. You also get +1 strength for anything that's in Synapse range, and anything in Synapse range also gets to roll their leadership and battle shot tests on 3d6, which really does make a difference. Makes it very hard to fail battle shocks, but not impossible, and it does happen. Beyond that, I'm running Vanguard. So Vanguard in Vanguard Onslaught is the sort of the speedy detachment. Everything in the army, everything in Tyranid can fall back and charge. Anything that's a Vanguard invader can advance and charge. So it's absolutely rapid. And when you combine that with a lot of units that move 10, or Gene Stealers that scout 8, move 8, and then everything advances and charges, it can be a turn 1 send army. Be a very, very effective army in that sense, but you don't always want to play it like that. You know, you've got the ability to, you've got the threat range to, and the threat to the opponent psychologically that you could do this, but sometimes you want to hold back and actually eke out, because the movement shenanigans don't stop there. In addition to all the movement shenanigans, the strats can be very powerful. So you've got 2 offensive strats. The first is any Vanguard unit in the fight or shooting phase, you can select an opponent, you get automatic +1 to hit it, force it to take a battle shot test. If it fails, A, it's battle shook, great, and B, you get +1 to wound. So it can be very powerful. The battle shocking doesn't always come off, but at the very least you get the +1 to hit, which is very effective, especially for Raveners and certain conditions. The next offensive strat is just give, in the fight phase, give an entire Vanguard unit precision. The whole unit. So that could be 10 Gene Stealers with a Broodlord, 46 attacks with dev wounds, lots of rerolls, and it's all precision. So just pick up the dev wounds that you need to, allocate, put it on the character, move on to the rest of the unit, and be done with it. That can be very spicy. Calgar's died a number of times that way. The defensive strats, you've got 1, 2 CP strats, but if you move within 9 inches of any 1 or 2 Vanguard units, you can reactive move 1 or both, flat 6. So that's a reactive move of a flat 6 for 2 Vanguard units. It's pricey, and often you use it as more of a threat than spend the 2 CP, but it does exist. And you can get them behind walls, get them out of charge range. If you're playing into Subterranean Assault or demons that can come down 6 inches away from you, great. Now it's just over 12 inches, you can't charge me. So you've got lots of potential with that. It can be really effective, but it's just one of those conditional things that is just nice to have. Another one is you can make any of your Vanguard units an 18-inch lone op, unless they were already a lone op, and then they become a 6-inch lone op. So if they want to kill that lictor, they've got to really try hard, because you could either reactive move, or you could lone op it, or if the game breaks if you don't do this thing, you could do both if you have the CP. That doesn't often happen for a lictor, but you could. That's the thing I like. The final good strat is you can uppy downy, so take off, put into reserves and then bring it back on and get another turn, up to 2 Vanguard units. Any 2 Vanguard units or 1 infantry unit. Some people like to take zone ropes because that then applies to them. Not running them in this list, but it can be very effective. So 2 Vanguard units can disappear off the board and come back on. So those are the strats. There's one enhancement that I've got. Some people take the redeploy. I really like the redeploy 3 units, but I'm not running that. I'm taking a different one that I will always forget to use, but it's really good when I remember. If you come in from reserves, if the opponent comes in from reserves on a 2-up, they take a battle shock test. No established locus behind enemy lines, you know, no coming in to steal one of your objectives away from you or move, shoot, move. No, come in on a 2-up, take a battle shock test. So can be really handy, and if you're playing into Grey Knights, Demons, Genestealer Cult, and you remember that it exists and you have it, it's a very powerful strat. For me, it's 20 points that I fail to remember, but it's good when you remember it. Now onto the army. The core of my list is in 2 big sets of damage dealers. We've got the Genestealers, of which we have 30 of the little devils. As I said before, these move 8, scout 8, and in this detachment, advance and fall back and charge. They have 4 attacks each, hitting on 2s, re-rolling, strength 5 with the Broodlord because of synapse, re-rolling 1s on objective to wound, with dev wounds. So that's 40 attacks plus the Broodlord, who's basically a twin-linked damage 2 version of the same thing, and you've got a unit that can output up to 52 potential wounds or dev wounds per activation. They have marine equivalent sort of profile, so T4, 2 wounds, but they have a 5-up invuln and a 5-up base save. So do get 4-up in cover, which can help occasionally. But 3 of these bricks. They are surprisingly tough against high AP weapons. They go down fairly quickly against lots of little shots, but they're great to tie people down. They're also a synapse unit, so they can be very good for extending shadows in the warp and the effectiveness of that. The next big sort of core of the army are the Raveners. And I'm including the red terror here, or the blue terror for me. The Raveners, we've got 2x2. So we've got 2 sets of normal Raveners at the back, and we've got 2 sets of hyper-adapted Raveners. The normal Raveners, uppy downy for free at the end of the opponent's fight phase. The hyper-adapted Raveners can rapid ingress for free or heroically intervene for free, even if another unit has either done one of those 2 things. So, and this is the play, the hyper-adapted Raveners can rapid ingress after another unit's already done it, including themselves, or there are others. So if you bring in both through rapid ingress and another unit first, that's 3. They all have deep strike. So the red terror and up to 20 Raveners can all rapid ingress in the same turn from deep strike, outside of 12 inches, outside of line of sight, moving 10 inches, advancing and charging. That is the big chunky threat, and that's where the alpha strike of this detachment can come from. You don't have to take them in blocks of 10. If you're running into MSU, like Drukhari or some of the other units, you can just run them in 5s. Because in the setup phase, you can choose whether you want to run them in 10s or 5s. And if you run them in 5s, you've still got some good moving around. You can still uppy down them with strats. You can still rapid ingress them with strats. You've still got lots of capabilities. But if you're going after knights or big demons, bringing them in blocks of 10 is great. The Neurotyrant and the Biovore are here just to score points. The Biovore with his spawn wines, great for denying, great for blocking, great for just being a pain in the arse, really. And then the Neurotyrant really sits there to hand out extra synapse with his Neuraloids, be a bit of a deterrent with his Flamer, and most importantly, on the Shadows in the Warp step, where you force the opponent to take a battle shot test, he makes everything in the opponent's army -1 to their result if he's on the table. You then get an additional -1 if you're within range of a synapse creature or a synapse unit. So you can see where this is going. If you time it right, everything's at -2. I've got 2 Neurolictors. These force battle shock tests in your command phase, and they have an aura -1 to hit and +1 for them to hit me, +1 for me to hit them if you are battle shocked within 12 inches of them. We've got 2 Lictors that fight first, 60-point models, lone up, fight first, rapid ingress for free if you need them to, move 8, and they're just good utility pieces. They die fairly quickly, but they're a great threat piece. And if JPIs or intercessors charge them and don't kill them before they charge with mortals or grenades, they could pick up the unit. They really are quite nasty in melee. They can go up to strength 8, 6 attacks, AP 2 damage 2 if they're in synapse range. So they can be really quite nasty defensive little creatures that are good at utility scoring. We've got 1 brick of 10 Hormagaunts, advance and charge. If they're in synapse, they're strength 4. They're really good at trading. They're OC2 each. That's 20 OC for a cheap model that's really fast. 10 inches plus advance and charge. And they go up to strength 4 with 3 attacks each. Hitting on 4s, AP 1 damage 1. So they'll clear sisters. They might even clear some scouts, maybe even some space marines, or hurt some legionnaires. But at the very least, early trading pieces, they'll auto-see pretty much everything, and they are killy enough. I've got another unit that's exactly the same, only it's got the Lash Whip Prime. And the Lash Whip Prime is just an absolute monster. Won't go into his profile now, that's better for another time, but he hits harder than some of our monsters, genuinely. He can clear an entire squad of witches on his own, and also he gives the unit surge. So if you shoot them, and you don't kill everything, they will surge d6 towards you into combat. And that's the list. It's big, or a lot of units, it's very fast, but also it has some tactical plays. You've got some things you can do. You can loan up, you can reactive, you can uppy down, you can move things around. You can punch quite hard if you really want to, with your +1 to wound and dev wounds and stacking things up, or you can just play for points. So it really is a versatile list. It's not like most of the standard subterranean assault lists or invasion fleet lists you'll see, and I've just fallen in love with the playstyle. It's really, really fun way to play Tyranids, and as you'll see, it can be quite effective. Not foolproof, but quite effective. So now, on to the main event. Unsurprisingly for most of you who've played competitive 40k, I played 3 games on the day, and all 3 opponents were just absolutely fantastic. Really lovely guys, honest players, really open, really fun, kept it really friendly. You know, the banter's flowing all the way throughout, lots of sort of jokes and the like. It's just a really fun social experience. Nothing like how some people sort of see competitive 40k. It's, yeah, we want to win, we want to do well, but everyone's there to support each other, you know, help remind each other of things, avoiding any nasty gotchas. Just a really positive day. 2 of the guys were from BG UK Nemesis, the team. More on that later. Mark and Rob at the end. And then we also had Jansen. Just 3 absolutely cracking blokes. But Mark was my first opponent. So Mark and I had actually met at a previous event where I saw his Blood Angels list and went over to talk to him, because despite what you see with the Tyranids, my main was actually Blood Angels for a long time and still kind of is. So absolutely love Blood Angels. Had a good chat with him at the previous event, kept in touch after Discord, and when we saw we were paired together, I just reached out to him, we had a good old chat about it, and I'll let Mark explain what his list is and how it works. What have we got, Mark?
5 scouts,
Yeah,
one with a heavy bolter, yeah, uppy down. The rest of them, one's got a chainsword, but it's just a combat knife.
Yeah, your sergeant.
Yeah, and then I got Lamart's, so he does the -1 damage, gives the unit lethal hits with 10 death company.
Nasty little death brick.
Yeah. Blackguard veterans, 6 of them, with a Sangard priest.
AP 3, 5 up feel no pain.
Yeah, gives them feel no pain. He's got enhancement, speed of the Primarch, so once per battle, fight first. Yeah.
Nasty.
2 jump pack units, standard captain with a power fist, 2 plasma pistols.
Yeah.
Now I've got a rage-fueled captain with the assault intercessor, so he gets to re-roll hits if they're on wounds on an objective.
Yep.
2 gladiator lancers.
Yeah.
Mephiston, lone up, fights first.
Yeah.
Lone up lieutenant. He's got, I think, 5+ feel no pain. Sticky intercessor squad.
Yeah.
And then I've got jump pack captain with.
Once per battle round, instant 6.
He's got the instant 6, yeah. Gift of foresight, that's the one.
There you go.
And then 6 Sangard with 2 Inferno pistols, and then the spears giving them lance.
Nice. So you got a couple of lone ops, a couple of fight first, lots of shenanigans, lots of punchy stuff.
Yeah.
Good fun.
In Liberator, so just gives it a little punch up on the charge.
Oh yeah, nice and punchy. We like it. We are all set up and deployed. 2 fast melee armies, staging aggressively. I think this is going to be a very bloody early game. and then we're going to be playing with scraps for the fight up for the points for the remaining turns. What do you reckon, Mark?
What's left? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yep.
Bloodshed.
We like it. Quick recap of how the game went with Mark. Really fun, really good game. Unfortunately, I know his list inside out. I know how I'd play it and sort of what he might do. So at the start, we kind of like tested each other out for range, you know, how far we could get, engagement range, threat range, and so on. Testing the waters. I had a bit more trading pieces that I could throw out to just kind of like tempt him in. And eventually we sort of got into the connect. So he had a few fight first units that are quite nasty. So on the first go turn, turn 2, I made sure that I multi-charged in such a way that I screened out his fight first from interrupting the bit that I cared about, which was sending a full stack of Broodlord and Gene Sealers into the Vanguard, who were well within threat range. He knew that. He thought his fights first could interrupt. Both of his fight first were on the same side of his unit. So by charging into them first with an expendable set of Hormagaunts, there was nothing that could be done. The Hormagaunts would die, but the Gene Stealers picked up almost all the Vanguard. I think there was the captain and one on a wound, or a wound or 2 left. So quite a vicious assault from the Gene Stealers, and no chance for the fight first to really activate and do what they needed to do. And because of that, he chose not to activate the fight first. So the Hormagaunts then got an opportunity to actually do some damage, killing the combi lieutenant and doing some other bits and pieces. So quite a nasty turn, left with Gene Sealers and Hormagaunts right up in his grill. Going on to his turn 2, and then activated shadows. Synapse range for lots of stuff got battle shocked, lots of stuff got hampered, and he sort of was on the back foot straight away. He put a load of stuff into the Gene Stealers to try and get rid of them, but he also got he got attempting target and secure no man's, and he really wanted to get my natural expansion, so he rushed out his Death Company with Lamates to go into my Gene Stealer brick that was kind of just off of that objective, but I kept 2C in my back pocket. So he managed to kill the Gene Stealers that were threatening his home, but then I interrupted with the ones with Lamates, and having had this done to me in the past with Greg Chamberlain at a great event years ago, or a year or 2 ago, I know what Gene Stealers can do to Lamates, and it just picked the squad up. Lamates was left on 3 wounds. The angriest chaplain in the galaxy was standing on an objective screaming into the void, and in my following turn I begrudgingly killed him with solo Hormagaunts, just because it was the cheapest unit I could expend to get that done. So at that point the battle just swung, and I could just take my time, knowing the list, to just eke out the points, play to score, and just try and set myself up well for the rest of the tournament. So great game, had a lovely chat about it afterwards. There's no sort of hard feelings. He knew it was going to be a tough one, and it was just a fun way to start the session. Jansen and his Drukhari were next, and he was running Sky Splinter Assault based on transports, really heavy transports, and he came into this and I knew straight away he was like, oh, he wants the win, he wants to rush me, he wants to decimate me turn 1. He's got the range, the threat range, and Drukhari, my god, they have the offensive output that they can really do it. So I knew that that was a risk and a potential. I've got the Scouts 8, so in the deployment I made sure that my Gene Stealers had the option of Scouting 8 behind rows of Hormagaunts and trash, with a few Lictors thrown in, just so that if he went first, I could pull back a little bit, force him to try and engage with the Hormagaunts, and then just whittle him up from there. But I went first, and that's fortunate for me. I managed to line it up well enough that 3 full bricks of Gene Stealers arrayed themselves against his front lines, got off multi-charges, all the charges connected exactly where I wanted them to, and in one turn he lost both squads of Mandrakes, 2 of his Reaver, the smaller jet bikes that transport, 1 squad of Reavers, a few Witches on the disembark, is it Raider, I think? One of those, and I also damaged a Ravager. That was in the first turn. So that put him on the back foot, and then he was facing 30 Gene Stealers in front of him, all with their invulns and stuff. He had Lady Malice, so he's got quite a lot of stuff and Archons and lots of tasty things to kind of do damage with, but straight away wasn't the first turn he was expecting, and just went full send, but then staged carefully with the rest of my forces to make sure that they weren't going to overexpose themselves, that he couldn't get around the Gene Stealers in the clapback, and that then I could sort of plan my next few turns out, forcing him to kind of just chunk through the Gene Stealers. And knowing that his list was quite melee focused, I burned one of my objectives, one of my secondaries. I could have scored it, recover assets, easy to score, but I burned it because going into his turn with 3 CP meant that I had that in my pocket. Now he was careful about he moved up Lady Malice first, as you should do, to just get the vector or the +1 to your CP costs, or maximising it across all 3 units of Gene Stealers. So whatever I did, it was going to cost me 1 more CP than it should have done. He was worried about the reactive move. I saved it for the interrupt. So he charged all of his stuff into me, and then I interrupted with one of the bricks of Gene Stealers, and we managed to pick up 2 of the units of Witches. So 2 full units of Witches, completely decimated with 1 activation. He did a fair amount of clapback. He missed an opportunity for an assassination, so I kind of like let him change, and we got the epic challenge, and he took out another unit later on. But from that point onwards, I'd taken out, you know, a third to half of his really hard-hitting parts of his army, and most importantly, all of the transports. All of the transports were either dead, or there was one that was far too far away to make a difference. And with Sky Splinter, that's where the power of the detachment comes from. So yeah, really good game, really fun. It's just that first turn, everything connected as I wanted it to. Put him on the back foot. He couldn't kill the Gene Stealers with range, had to get into melee, had enough left to do the interrupt, and then from that point onwards was just choosing where I pick things up. Lady Malice was a pain, but again, you can get around her, you can plan things around. Lilith was also a bit of a nightmare, but with fight first units, there's a way around it. And so with Lilith in the centre at one point, on the main objective in the centre, I threw in a Soul Lictor in, and then charged a unit adjacent to her with my big brick of 10 Raveners. Now the 10 Raveners were able to sort of completely tag the opposing unit, and then position them in such a way that they kind of arced around, still getting closer to the unit, but they arced around. However, for Lilith fight first, she had to pile into the Lictor, because that was the closest eligible model. But my Raveners could pile into Lilith. So that's the way it planned out. Lilith killed the Lictor just instantly. I just took it off the board, didn't bother rolling. And then the Raveners just piled back in. And then I used the precision strat, and Lilith was gone. So fight first threat gone, Lilith gone. Didn't activate her once per game, unfortunately. And then the Red Terror came in and picked up Lady Malice the following turn. So really fun game, very brutal. Could have gone the other way, but it's where the Vanguard has its strengths. Really good game. So yeah, a lot of fun. Got us really buzzed, and then I was going into the final round against Rob and hadn't dropped a point. So it's one of my best tournaments yet. Went 100 and 100 going into the final round against Rob. My God, Rob's a bit of a beast. So Rob is one of the BG UK Nemesis players, one of worldwide top players. He's a really, really good guy. Very honest, very open. Yeah, he's full of banter and stuff, but he talks about all the stuff. It's like, this is a gotcha. It's like, he explained one of his guys, which I agree with him. It's like, this guy's gamey as, you know, it's completely broken. No one's caught it yet. It does all these ridiculous things, but because no one plays it, no one's caught it yet. And I agree with him. It's gamey as hell, but it worked. Such a good game. Hidden Supplies, and I went first against Chaos Demons. So really was on the back foot from the off. It was going okay. Managed to pick up an entire unit of Blood Crushers in 1 activation. Went into Scarbrand with a full brick of Raveners. Ideal. Put 18 wounds into him, and he made 15 4-up saves. And then one-shot the Raveners. And he did the same thing again the following turn with a different unit. I was like, okay, this is changing rapidly. So statistics and averages be damned. Sometimes it's a dice game, and you just get bad luck. And that's what happened. So we had an absolute blast playing. One of the best games I've played in a long time. Really, really fun. But his demons list is just bonkers. Watch this scene. At some point, he's going to start appearing on those top tables with that demons armies, and people are going to freak out. So yeah, really fun, really good. Had a lovely catch up with him afterwards. We'll go into that in a second. But yeah, really nice. End of the RTT.
Yeah, indeed.
I've got to play against Rob.
Yeah.
And yeah, the demons. They were horrible.
The demons did the demon things. Yeah, it was a good game.
Yeah.
Really close game actually. It come down to my good dice rolling, and his not so much.
No. I mean,
Yeah.
what? 18 wounds on Scarbrand, 15 saves.
Yeah, in one
That
go.
set the pace for the
Yep.
But held on.
You did.
How many points in it? It's like 17?
17. I think,
17
yeah,
points in the
17.
end,
Played
so
really well. Yeah, it was
pretty
good,
close.
Good game, really good game. My best game
Yeah.
of the
But
day.
Rob won the RTT.
Yeah.
So well done, mate.
Yeah, sweet.
Catch you later. Had that lovely catch up with Rob afterwards. Left the tournament in 4th. Would have come 2nd on points, but you know, came 2 and 1. So a few other guys came. 2 other guys ahead of myself, and between myself and Rob, got their 3 and 0s. So I missed the podium by a bit, but came 2nd on points, and I'm happy with that. And I had a great time. So brilliant way to end 10th edition. Really, really good fun. Pulling off 200 games in the RTT against some really competitive players and some good lists. Really happy with that. And everybody there was a bit surprised what this Vanguard list can do. It really is a cool, different list, and that's what I like. Just don't play the meta. Play stuff that's different, that's fun, that's inventive. You'll find stuff that works, and it's really cool. Having a chat with a load of the guys afterwards, and I realised that Mark and Rob both play for the same team, BG UK Nemesis, as does one of my friends Odin, and a couple of other people that I've met in the past. We were just having a long chat, and they invited me to the team. So I'm proud to say I'm now part of the BG UK Nemesis team. Plenty more on that to follow, but they're starting a podcast. They've got loads of stuff going. They're really trying to sort of grow as a club, so keep an eye out for them. And yeah, really, really great weekend. So I hope you've enjoyed this first RTT and my ramblings, and we'll do more in the future. I'm looking to do a couple of battle reports if I can, and yeah, comments, subscribes, likes, all that jazz is very welcome. But in the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful time for what's left of 10th, and let's hope for a really good launch of 11th. It's going to be chaotic and mad and fun, and yes, it's going to be broken, but let's just embrace it for a bit. Like, we can do the competitive stuff down the line. For now, let's just have a blast and enjoy what this is. See you soon.